Was curious, so just with the process of getting sober, what did that look like? Was that like a year-long process? Was that kind of a struggle, or do you
Oh
feel
yeah.
like you just had a,
Yeah, that was
I've heard lots of stories.
Yeah, it was probably a good 3-year battle to actually go from deciding that I wanted to be a sober person to actually becoming, right. And it takes that change. And on the inside, we talk about, with faith and with God, it's when God makes a change on the inside of you, that's the difference, right. And it was the same when God took that obsession to drink. I have alcohol at my house now. A lot of people that are in sobriety can't do that, but I keep beer. I cook with it, or if guests come over for dinner or whatever, it could be Kool-Aid for all I care. I just, so God has removed that obsession from me. But that first year, I relapsed probably 15 times,
Yeah.
and then you come to a point. Well, I came to a point where it was, it was literally life or death for me.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Big Hitters Podcast. I'm here with Lane Williams. Lane has an incredible story, has started several businesses and has sold a few of those. Lane is now running To the T Plumbing, and we're so excited to chat today, Lane. Thanks so much for joining the show.
Hey, Chase, man, thanks for having us on, dude.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I'm super excited. We were talking a little bit offline about your story and can't wait for the audience just to hear from you. Let's just maybe start with, your professional career. Where did that kind of begin? Did you go to school? How did you kind of get into starting and selling some businesses?
Honestly, I started out in the restaurant industry. It was the easy thing to do. We'll get into my background a little bit more, but I started waiting tables whenever I was in college, trying to finish up my degree, and I was just really good at it. And I was working at some fine dining places, so I went into management from that, and then from there I decided, to go into ownership. So I went into ownership, and I found out that I really enjoyed being in business, working for myself.
So when you were in college working at, because I actually did the same thing. I was a server all through college.
Right.
I told my wife just the other day, I'm like, we have to have our kids work in restaurants.
Oh,
I think
dude.
It teaches you so much.
Yeah, you want to talk about humility. You want to talk about work ethic, and yeah, you can really excel and learn a lot in the trenches.
Yeah. Well, so did you end up finishing school, or when you started with the restaurant, did you just kind of decide, hey, I want to take a left turn and just stay in the restaurant world?
Yeah, So at that time, I had a full plate. I was a volunteer fighter, and I did search and rescue in Big Bend National Park. And so I was a training officer at that time for new recruits. And I was going to college full time. I was working at a furniture store in the daytime, waiting tables at night, and I was a firefighter. So
what?
Yeah.
Were you getting okay grades?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I was a 3.79.
I don't know how you're managing all that.
Yeah, 3.79 GPA when I left. I ended up having more hours that meet a degree plan. I think I ended up with like 126 hours of college, but nothing meshed. I just, I was done. I was like, okay, I'm getting into a place where I'm making enough money to support my family, and I don't need to finish this degree. And so I didn't. And so I went into business for myself and started a restaurant. So, yeah.
Good for you, man. So what did that process look like? If you don't mind kind of walking our audience through that. So you obviously started as a server. It sounds like at a fine dining place. Did you eventually work your way into ownership with that specific restaurant, or did you decide to leave and just do your own thing?
No, yeah, I was kind of a big fish in a small pond at that point. The restaurant that I was at was owned by a billionaire guy here in Texas named J.P. Bryant. It's the Gage Hotel in Marathon, Texas. I moved into management there, and we were getting some, articles written about us. I was paired with a fantastic chef named Chef Paul Peterson, who was on TV and GQ magazine and all this stuff. I mean, the dude's a stud. And so whenever I left that job, I had a very good name for myself in the area. And so I had some people that were willing to financially back me. And so that's how it happened. We started a little pizzeria across the street from.
No
Yeah.
way. That's my dream.
Oh, dude, it was awesome. Well, hey, I had this guy named Angelo from Italy that gave me his dough recipe, so I was in.
No way. Okay.
Um,
My parents actually had a pizza restaurant
Okay.
growing up my whole life.
Yeah.
So
You know it.
yeah, I've always said at some point I want to do it. But okay, so you started with pizza restaurant. What was that called?
Primo's Pizza. It was in Alpine, Texas, and it was right across from this bar called the Railroad Blues that Maxim magazine picked as one of the top 25 small bars in the U.S., right? And I would have
Okay.
pizza by the slice, and I'd have my girls grab a pizza and walk across the street to the parking lot and sell sliced pizza. I mean, we had a great niche.
No
Yeah, it was
way.
good, dude. Especially at
Oh
2
my
a.m.
gosh, what a brilliant strategy.
It worked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I did. I bought into a steakhouse, and that just, man, I'll tell you. So this was right before the housing market crashed, and we lost everything.
Like 07 or 08, something like that.
Yeah, I got sued and lost
Okay.
everything after that. So we were forced to restart. Now, right in that, I was deep in the middle of addiction at that point too, alcohol, drugs.
Okay.
But I was trying to balance it all out, right? And so right about that time is when I got sober. And that's when we moved to Austin. And I knew that I could fall back on working with my, because when you're getting sober, you don't really want a lot of responsibilities, really. You need to work on some internal stuff.
Focus on getting sober.
And so I started waiting tables again, right? So I went from ownership back to waiting tables. But I was at a place that's
a humbling thing.
Well, yeah, but brother, right now today, I would go dig ditches 12 hours a day if I had to feed my family, right? And that's what we got to do. Pride can't make the, pride can't keep you from taking care of your people, So
I love that.
Yeah, so we went to Austin at that point. There's a place here in town called Fonda San Miguel that's been here for 40 years. It's like, there's not a celebrity that comes to town that doesn't eat at Fonda. And so that's where I went to work.
Okay.
So I was there for about 5 years, worked my way back up to management.
Okay. Was curious, so just with the process of getting sober, what did that look like? Was that like a year-long process? Was that kind of a struggle, or do you feel like you just had a...
Yeah, that was...
I've heard lots of stories.
Yeah, it was probably a good 3-year battle to actually go from deciding that I wanted to be a sober person to actually becoming, right? And it takes that change. And on the inside, we talk about, with faith and with God, it's when God makes a change on the inside of you, that's the difference, right? And it was the same when God took that obsession to drink. I have alcohol at my house now, right? A lot of people that are in sobriety can't do that. But I keep beer. I cook with it, or if guests come over for dinner or whatever, it could be Kool-Aid for all I care. I just, so God has removed that obsession from me. But that first year, I relapsed probably 15 times. And then you come to a point. Well, I came to a point where it was, it was literally life or death for me. There was times, I got alcohol poisoning. I got resuscitated 3 times one night. I don't do anything halfway.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
yeah, I can tell with your businesses and everything. Yeah. My goodness.
So anyway, I think coming out of that and then, starting to align myself, like, what do I want to do? I'm waiting tables. I go into management. And then I hit what people in the industry call the restaurant lottery. And I don't know, you did it before. So the restaurant lottery is like someone in business sees someone at a restaurant and says, I think this person would be good at my company. Right. And
they poached you.
That's what happened. Yeah. A guy who turned out to be one of my best friends in life now. There was an incident, and this is something that I'm really good at, and I can't take credit for it. This is one of those God-given things, like you go to get certifications, you read books, you study really hard to learn things, and other things you're gifted with, right? So one of the things that I'm really good at is making mad people happy, right? And I had a group of about 15 ladies that walked in, and they were supposed to have had a reservation. They didn't.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And within 5 minutes, I had them down at a table that we don't use for serving, but it was this big, beautiful table in an atrium. I had margaritas on them. I had apps on them. And like they were laughing and hugging and taking pictures with me.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my regulars, I looked over and I saw him in the atrium, just like with his arms crossed, looking at me, watching me.
Okay.
And so I gave him the what's up, and he came over and he was like, hey, can we go get coffee sometime? Right. And I said, sure. So this guy poached me. He was a 17-year engineer that working for a large company that wanted to go out on his own. And he said, I'm a great engineer, but I just can't talk to people. And so
no way.
Yeah, bro, he tripled my salary overnight. And
no way.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, tripled what I was making at the restaurant overnight and said, let's go build a business. We built that one engineering firm over about 2 years, and it successfully exited. And we did 2 other ones after that. So, yeah.
Wow. That's so incredible. So he just probably knew you a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Because he's a regular. Mm-hmm. He sees you around. Okay. So he was probably watching you for several months and then said, I got to go get this guy.
Yeah, and it was more than that. Like he, at coffee, he gave me a book about this thick. They call it the AT&T. Well, I don't know. It's basically a construction standards book that's industry-wide, right? Mm-hmm. And he gave me this and said, hey, Can you study this? And I did. I studied it for a year. And wow. That made a difference, being able to, mm-hmm. because we hired engineers to work for us, and I did not have an engineering degree. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you a fun story. Have you ever seen that movie, Catch Me If You Can?
Yes, yeah? I have actually.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So I got notified that I was teaching a class called an SWPPP. And I had no clue what the hell that meant. Right? I'm not an engineer.
You're supposed to
teach but I got to teach this class, right? And it was going to be in the field, right? And so I get there, and there's a group of about 7 or 8 people. And so I said, who is the youngest engineer here? Who just graduated, right? And it was this girl. She was like 25 or something, nervous. And I said, you're teaching the class today. And she was like, what? And I was like, don't worry about it. I'm right here. I'm going to make sure everything goes smooth. We're going to get you, and you're going to have your opportunity, And so I just faked it, and every now and then she's like, okay, she's talking about something, and somebody would ask a question, and she would look over at me, and I would just give her the nod. I'd be like, you're doing great, And and so that's kind of that's an MO of mine, It's, I guess I don't want to say, it was my job to make sure that the job was done. It was not my job to do the job, right?
Exactly.
I was building a company.
That's a skill set.
It is.
I mean, that takes a lot of skill. Yeah, not everyone can do that.
Yeah, but it worked, and we built a great company. We were putting out a far superior product than the other people that were in the market at the time. And part of it was because we were recruiting well, and we were very, very, it's a culture thing. And I know that gets overused. Mm-hmm. But I've always found that if you pay them a little bit more, what is it? What's the saying? You pay 5 like 8, and you work them like 10, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Those 5 people are super stoked that they're getting paid way more than they somewhere else. We're going to demand a lot out of them. They're going to have to be high achievers, right? But we're going to put them first and build a culture around our employees. Yeah. And it's always worked out for us really well.
I love that. I'm actually going to write that down. You said you pay 5 like you're paying 8
and work them like 10? Work them like 10. Yeah.
I'm going to write this down. I love that.
That's not mine. I don't know where I got it, but it's not mine.
Well, I'm going to give you credit. So, talk to me about this a little bit. So during this process, obviously you struggled with addiction a little bit. you went through some sobriety, and then you're still kind of building businesses.
Mhm.
So where does your faith land through all of this? I mean, were you a Christian, a young Christian, or would you have no faith at all at this point? How did that kind of come
Yeah.
into your life?
So I had some prayer warriors my whole life. I went through a lot of time. So when I was younger, it was Southern Baptist, fire and brimstone, you're going to hell,
Yeah.
and it
Mm-hmm.
really turned me
Repent and
off.
believe. Yeah.
Yeah, it really turned me off. So, the pendulum, it swings, right? And so I swung really far. I looked at Satanism, I looked at Wicca, I looked at everything, right? And then
Okay.
I've always been a really just kind of I don't tend to go to extremes when it comes to like my day to day, right? I do
Mm-hmm.
push the limits on business, and I push the limits on, but I'm really vanilla when it comes to most stuff, And so I just
Totally.
all that other paganism and everything, it just didn't click with me. It was too extreme, and so I was just middle ground. Later on, I went into the oil and gas industry. And there was a guy named Josh Watson that I worked with that was in this rough industry. He was an openly Christian guy, right? And he was so happy, and he was just, I wanted to know more, right? So I started asking this guy questions, and I started getting around him, and hey, why don't we go to dinner, And then I would ask him questions about his faith, and just little bit and little bit. At this time, my wife started going to church, and it was kind of a seeker church, right? The kind of church that, and we've moved on from there now because they don't tend to take stances, really, right? But they're really good at what they do. They provide a space for people to explore a relationship with God, no matter where you're at in life. They don't judge. No perfect people allowed. All that good stuff. But they provide a space for anyone to just explore a relationship. And so she started going to one of these churches, and she put her purse down next to her and say she was saving me a seat, right? So I started sitting in it, and we started way back up at the top. And when church was over, I'd get out as quick as I could,
I've been there before. I know what you mean.
Yeah. Then we started moving slowly further down, and then I decided one day, I was like, whatever they're doing, I want to be involved. So I started volunteering for no other reason than just I want to be involved with what these people are doing. We joined a small group. We started taking Bible classes, and just started really wanting to explore more of a relationship with God. Finding that internal change. And there's a few like aha moments with my faith, like when I drive by the homeless people on the street, and I'd be like, "Get a job, loser," And then I caught myself praying for them. Hey, God, find a way today to bless this person, right? And then that's when I knew, like, oh, he's making changes in here, right? And so that was
the Spirit's working,
right,
yeah.
And so that's when I started, getting more. And bro, I'm the worst Christian. I'm like, if you disrespect my wife, I'm gonna punch you in the mouth. I'll talk to Jesus about it later. You know what I mean? But yeah, I love the dude. Jesus is my guy. But I'm struggling every day, just like everybody else.
Yeah, I hear that, man. I love the transparency. I think one of the things I love about hearing stories like this is the authenticity is just so contagious. I think if most men heard a guy like you who's masculine, successful, blue collar, and is talking vulnerably about these things, like that would hit home more, because I think so many people have this idea that like Christianity is just all about cleaning up, doing the right things, and then God will accept you. And it's just the complete opposite of that. So I love hearing that.
Yeah, no, and I think that's honestly, it's a roadblock for a lot of men, that they, we don't want to be hypocrites, right? We want to, and we're told from a young age that, you sin or whatever. But if you embrace King David, man, and I know we'll get into Rise Up Kings, but golly, that dude, like we need less blue-haired youth ministers that are like, yeah, what's up, bro? We need less of those guys, yeah, and we need more King Davids in the
I
you
know,
know, I
right?
mean, and I get it, dude. King David was a bad dude. He was not, but he was the chosen of God, right? And he had the
Mm-hmm.
ability
Yeah.
to drop on his knees and ask forgiveness, and
Yeah.
and that's, strong men. Yeah, we need that. Yeah.
Yeah. Completely agree. You brought it up a little bit, but we always love to point back to Rise Up Kings because those are our guys. I told you earlier I'm trying to make it out at some point this next
Yeah.
year, so hopefully I'll get there. But how did you originally hear about Rise Up Kings, and maybe talk a little bit about your experience?
Instagram. I was scrolling around and I really felt this just calling for something more, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and and just like I'm a bad Christian, I'm not the best rut guy either. You know what I mean? Um, like I said, I there's some dudes that are studs, but you ever heard that? You know, you're the sum of the five people you spend the most time with, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I wanted to be around more men that wanted more out
Mm-hmm.
of life,
Mm-hmm.
that wanted, yes, more success, right? But how's your relationship with your wife? How's your relationship with your kids? How's your, how are you fit? Are you healthy? What's your relationship with God? Do you read the Bible? Do you engage, right? And that's something that really drew me to Rise Up Kings when I looked at, because I have always, so we'll, talking about my past a little bit, right? I did a lot of time in jail. I did boot camp. I did all this stuff, right? When I was a youngster, they sent me to this boot camp. And, and I know we're not supposed to live, in the past and in the past glories and blah, blah, blah. But bro, I was just better than everybody, right? When they sent me to boot camp,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was just better, right? I was,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to look at the sample, right? There was a bunch of guys that were coming that were jailhouse guys, right? So I'm not saying I was,
Right.
it's not like I was saying I was a Navy SEAL, but when I was there, like I was just
Yeah.
smarter, faster, stronger, just excelled.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, man, I really should go into the military. They wouldn't take me because I already had multiple things on my record. So I was not able to go to the military after that. But I've always been drawn to this idea of, these scenarios where, like, if your family got kidnapped, could you push yourself to run over the top of the mountain while they're driving around the mountain so you can get to the other side fast enough to save your family, type thing, right?
Yeah.
These scenarios that we put ourselves through. And I saw this thing on Facebook, and I'd been seeing these other, whatever military inspired training camps or whatever. But what they didn't have was they didn't have a spiritual aspect, a Christian aspect. And the Rise Up Kings did. And that drew me. I said, okay, I'm 40 something. Do I still have this physical ability in me? Right. And then, where am I at with my faith? Where am I at? And so that's what really drew me to it. Right. Was that not only was it this chance to, be a part of this brotherhood, but also to grow in faith with other men. And so that drew me, man. And I'm gonna tell you, there are some studs in Ruck, man.
I've interviewed a lot of them. Yeah.
Good Lord, they make me want to just, you just get on a call with some of these dudes, and you're just like, man, I really got to up my game,
Yeah. Yeah. Seriously.
So that's what it was. Yeah, it's Instagram, and then I reached out to him and I talked to him, and it's one of the best things I've ever done in my life. It's one of the best places that God ever put me. Yeah. So
do they? Is Rise Up Kings always in Texas? That's where they meet.
Yeah, that's where the
right?
HQ is. But I mean, they do events all over. They'll go to your church.
Okay.
Like if you've got enough guys, they'll go to your church and meet you there at your church for like a weekend event.
Wow,
or
so
something.
they're
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you yourself in Texas?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, born and raised.
You're in Austin?
I'm in Austin now. I was born and raised in Fort Worth, Texas.
Okay.
Yeah. Born and raised in Fort Worth.
Gotcha. Yeah. Austin's a cool spot. You've never seen Rogan running around down there, have you?
No, but I've been to his place, the comedy mothership. I've been to the,
Oh, have
oh
you
yeah,
really?
yeah, I've been to the comedy club or whatever it is
Okay.
downtown. And so have you ever seen that movie, Two Guns, with Denzel Washington
No,
and Mark Wahlberg?
I don't think so.
So
No.
Denzel's
Maybe
character,
I have to watch
oh,
it.
it's a good movie. It's fun. Yeah, but
Okay.
Denzel's character is, I know a guy. Like, he's always like, I know a guy. I know a guy. Oh, you need
Uh-huh.
tires? I know a guy. You need a new roof? I know a guy.
Yeah.
That's I get punched a lot about that. Like, my buddies are like, dude, you always know somebody. So I haven't met Rogan yet, but I've got a couple of mutual people, that I know that know him. But it's not one of those things. Yeah,
Really?
yeah. It's not one of those things where you. Um, it's not one of those things where he's like, hey, let's go meet Rogan. That's just not the thing to do. But I'm sure.
Totally. I mean, he's such a
Oh,
high level
yeah.
guy. Yeah.
But I'm sure at some point I will be at an event or something somewhere where he's at. So, and then I'm gonna.
Is his comedy
Yeah.
store pretty cool?
Yeah, it's neat, man. They bring in a lot of people. They make you lock your phone up before you, because all the cancel stuff. But yeah, it's really fun. I've got some guys in network that had a table that was like, so it was fun to go. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so we got to see him on stage.
Okay.
At least,
Yeah, that's cool. I saw him one time out here in Denver, but I've been meaning to make it down.
Are
to
you in
Austin,
Denver?
So if I'm ever, I am. Yeah, me and Andrew both are in Denver.
Okay, so the company that I have now, To the T Plumbing, Heating, and Air of Austin, that is a franchise that I purchased from a Ruck brother that's been in the Denver Thornton area for 14 years. Yeah,
Seriously?
so to
Wow.
the T, if you looked it up right now, To the T Plumbing, Heating, and Air, they've been in Denver. Man, they're a huge company. Yeah, great place. Nate Trail is our Ruck brother.
Okay. I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to transition us into To the T. I'm curious to hear
Well,
more. Let's see here. Is there a staff? I don't know if their website has staff or not, but
well, before To the T, though, I would talk about the oil and gas industry. So that's a fun one that we jumped into.
Oh, that's right. Let's go there.
Yeah.
Then. Yeah.
So like one of the companies exited, and I was not taken care of in that situation. One of the engineering firms, and so I'm like in between stuff. And my brother had saw a post on Facebook that said that there was this company. So there's a really, really hard job to get in oil and gas. It's called flowback, right? It's always flowback's fault. No matter what, anything goes wrong, they're going to blame it on the flowback guys. But it's because the flowback guys, you don't need a degree, you don't need a certification, but it's like the second highest paying job in the oil and gas industry. Like, it is.
Right.
It's a great job. And, but it's really, really hard to get into. It's really hard to break out. And there was a company that had put a post on Facebook that they were going to start a training class because they needed to bring on like 90 flowback guys, and there weren't enough guys in the industry. So it was a very unique opportunity. So I got up at 5 a.m. in Austin, and I drove to Midland, Texas, and I showed up at this company, and I said, hey, I want to talk to such and such. And they're like, do you have an appointment? And I said, nope. She was like, well, just wait a minute, So then I keep talking to her, and so finally she lets me into this guy's office, right? And I walked out of there with a job, right?
No.
Oh yeah, just randomly.
That's so crazy,
right? So it took me about 2 years, and they run about 90 guys through this training class, but it took me about 2 years. I moved really fast through the ranks, and I got up to lead operator, which is a great position to have. Which it's usually considerably longer to get to a lead position. But me and my brother were both very driven to move into that kind of position.
Sure.
And so we moved up, and then the bottom fell out, right? COVID happened. Oil went to negative $36 a barrel. Everybody gets laid off, right? So I go home. It's COVID, and I'm like, what am I going to do? I ended up starting 3 different companies during COVID. I started another engineering firm. I started a construction company, and I started a hot shot company where we had guys driving all over the U.S. delivering stuff, right? So in the midst of that, these guys were told by a tier 1 operator company, of one of the top 3 producers in the U.S. They told this guy, look, you are really, really good at what you do. If you were to start your own company, you could be in a position to get some work, right? So he was great at what he did, but he didn't know anything about business. So he came to me
Right.
because we had worked together and said, hey, look, I know you've started companies before. I know you've gone through this. Can you help me build this company? Right. So I said,
Yeah.
sure. I'm not doing anything. It's COVID,
Yeah.
And that's the MO, right? I get bored and
Yeah.
I'm like, let's start a business. So let's lose a bunch of money. Um,
Yeah.
so it took us about 2 years. We had to get in a position, and when you target companies, like you can go and build a small company, but if you want to target like a tier one operator, like you have got to have like 160 page, health, safety, and environmental program. You've got to have, you got to have $10 million umbrella policy that costs $80,000 a year for that insurance policy alone, right? There's a lot of details that you have to have in place to work for a company like Exxon or Conoco or Occidental Petroleum or whoever, right? And so we built ourselves specifically not to go after small companies and mom and pop companies. We built ourselves for Oxy, right? And it took us 2 years just to get the first meeting, right? I think we did about 90,000 in gross sales the first year. We did 800,000 in year 2, and then we did 12 million in year 3, right? Year 3 we did 12 million in sales. Year 4 we did 24 in gross, and we were rocking. We went from 3 employees in 4 years. We had 120 employees, 80 trucks in the field, rocking and rolling, dude. And we were doing stuff that nobody else out there was doing, right? Just because of the culture, the way we built the company, the little things that we did, and just, we gangbusters, man. Really took over. And then we sold. Yeah, so we had a good exit.
When did you guys sell?
November of last year. Yeah.
Okay, so it's been about a year.
Yeah.
So then, from that point, you still had the itch to do another business.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah. You're sitting at home and you're like, what am I going to do now? Yeah. Yeah, and the trades are really, really. I can't say enough good about the trades, right? Electrician, plumbing, carpentry, HVAC. Like AI is going to be taking a lot of jobs in the next 10 years, right? AI, as far as I know, doesn't know how to build a cabinet, yet.
I agree.
Trades
are going to come back. Yeah.
Right. And so I thought, this is a good time to get ahead of it. There's been a lot of venture capital money that's coming into the trades in the last 5 years. They come in and they buy up all these mom and pops, and then now they lose track of their customer base, right? They lose that culture that they had before. People become numbers. And I was actually able to recruit some really good, talented guys because they went from being at a mom and pop to VC coming in, and now all of a sudden, they, as an employee, they're treated as a number, and they're encouraged to upsell and all these crazy things to their clients.
Yeah, exactly.
And one of the things that I say is that I tell people all the time when I talk to them, I'd rather be their HVAC and plumbing provider for the next 10 years. I don't want to do one job for you and make 15 grand. I want to be the company that you call for the next 10 years. And it's,
I love that.
Yeah, it's worked out really well. I think in 1 year, we've gotten 74 5-star reviews. And so we're averaging like 7 5-star reviews a month, and that's organic, right? We've never had any review except for a 5-star review. And that's a testament to my guys.
Wow.
Yeah. It's those guys out there in the field, and obviously, Skylar Lewis, the guy that started Rise Up Kings, something that I took from his page is the taking the wife out to dinner, right? If I'm going to hire somebody, I'm going to take them and their spouse to dinner, right? I want to know what kind of people they are. Are they going to fit culturally, right? We're going to pray before dinner, right? I'm going to pray, right? At the dinner table. We're going to see what kind of people they are. Because Man, there's a ton of good plumbers out there, right? But is it the kind of plumber you want in your house? You know?
Exactly.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Man, that's so
yeah.
good. It's hilarious because I actually I've been calling plumbers all day today, trying to get someone over to my house. So maybe I'll give you guys a call.
Yeah, no,
That's
no,
funny.
call Nate, dude, over to the T, man. Yeah, they're in Throckmorton, Denver, Throckmorton, and there's another little town outside of there. Yeah. So,
Golden, maybe Lakewood,
man, you got me. Yeah.
something like
Mm-hmm.
that. Okay. Um, that's so cool. Well, I know we're creeping up on time
Mm-hmm.
here, so we'll kind of wrap things up here shortly. But I was curious if you want to speak a little bit more to what would you say, even for myself, and I can imagine a lot of young guys. It seems like people's dream is like, I can start my own company and then sell it one day and then just kind of retire and be done. What do you feel like has kept you coming back to wanting to buy another business or start another thing as opposed to just, hey, I made my money, I'm kind of set, I'm good to go. Where would you say that comes from?
Well, I'm not set. I'm not set.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I think it's, my brother asked me like a year ago. He was like, "All right, sell this thing. You're gonna get a grip of money. What are you gonna do?" I said, "I'm gonna start
Mm-hmm.
another company." Right. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. It's just the way I'm wired. I would imagine my wife would rather me be a 9 to 5 guy that's got security and all that. But man, I'm just a gunslinger, dude. I love new industries. I'm driven to, we went from restaurants to engineering, from engineering to oil and gas. Now we're in the trades. Um, I
Yeah.
love diving into new industries and seeing what people do and why they
Mm-hmm.
do it. And again, man, I probably frustrate some of my guys because I'm not the best finisher, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a
Yeah.
good visionary. I can get enthusiastic, and it's infectious enthusiasm, right? I can get people to see the
Mm-hmm.
vision and be a part of it, but I need some good finishers to work with me to take it across the finish line. You know, um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm just driven to that challenge. I think that you know to stepping into something new that I've never done before and finding success. I love that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
As far as advice for young people when it comes to that, I don't think that we all want an exit, right? We all want to make money, and my dream is the catamaran, right? I want a catamaran, and I want to
Mm-hmm.
go on the ocean, and that's my dream, right? We all
Mm-hmm.
want, we have that, but are you the guy that's willing to get up at 4 a.m., right? Are you the guy that's willing to
Mm-hmm.
work when everybody leaves at 5? Are you willing to work till 6? Right? Are you willing to get
Mm-hmm.
up at 4 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
and do that extra work? Are you the guy that's willing to sacrifice for years? Um, and not to be crude, there's a guy, you can look up the exact quote if you want to. There's a guy named Dan Pena,
Mm-hmm.
and he's notorious for his language, let's say, right? He's a
Yeah.
roll up
Okay.
king, right? And I'll say it in a non hopefully a non offensive way, but he says everybody congratulates the woman when she's pregnant, right? But nobody asks
Mm-hmm.
her how many times she had to have sex, right? And he uses a different
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
terminology, right? In business, it's the
Sure.
same way, right? Everybody looks at you and they say, "Man, congratulations, you built this thing. You guys blew up overnight," or whatever, this success. But they didn't see how many times you failed, right? They didn't see how many
Mm,
times
yeah.
that, bro, in the oil and gas company, I there's been times where I work 36 hours straight swinging a sledgehammer,
Oh my gosh.
right? I'm not,
Yeah.
that's not an
Wow.
exaggeration, right? I've worked 12
My
hour
gosh.
shifts
Yeah.
58 days in a row, no days off, 12-hour shifts,
Oh my
58 days
gosh.
straight,
Yeah.
right? If you're not willing to do that, if you're not willing to be a leader from the front, right? Work a 36-hour shift with a sledgehammer in your hand, uh, you're not going to find that same success. Now, there's always the exception to the rule. Somebody's granddad left him a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
money and he started a business, and He does cold plunges all day.
Right.
That's cool. Most of us have to work,
Yeah.
you know?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
uh, that's
Yeah.
the advice I would
No,
give,
that's
dude.
so
Work
true.
harder than everybody else.
Yeah, I love that. There's no way around it. It's like if you want something, how much are you willing to work for it?
Hmm.
Yeah, that's so good. Um, well, we can kind of get wrapped up here. Wanted to talk a little bit about AI. I know you probably know Andrew and I do some AI stuff, virtual assistants.
Hmm.
Have y'all kind of looked into AI stuff within to the T plumbing? Are you guys utilizing that at all?
The number one way that AI really fits with the trades, I think, is marketing, right? I
Hmm.
used it obviously when I was building a business plan and when I was building a marketing plan. Hey, you are a marketing professional and you're wanting to identify specific demographic groups in this geographical area, whatever. You can use it that way. But the other way that I use it, there's a company that it's called Upfrog, and it
Okay.
is absolutely the devil. Okay, if you ever
Hmm.
wondered if your phone was listening to you, it is. Okay,
Yeah.
um, if you're in Walmart and you're talking to your wife about the air conditioner not working, if you're within my geo fenced area, the next time you get on Facebook, you will get one of my ads. It's going to happen, right?
That's so crazy. What the
Um,
heck? Yeah.
yeah, it's true, man. And these guys aren't cheap, you know, but everybody's doing it. And if somebody else wasn't doing it, if I wasn't doing it, somebody else would, right? I love
Exactly.
it that they geographically fence my area off and they will not work with a competitor in my area. But AI listens, they scrape that data, and then when those people get on, they get one of my ads, right? And then AI also, they've got an algorithm that they've built that contacts people, and there's a sweet spot for the number of times that you touch a potential customer,
Hmm.
right? This isn't somebody that's Googling plumber near me, I've got a leak or whatever. This is a curated AI engine that curates the customer, right? These are people that are just
Right.
shopping. These are people that are waiting till spring for a deal or whatever that is. So that's the main way that we use AI. Again, I don't know that AI is building cabinets yet, so I don't know how it's going to fit into the trades other than
Hmm.
marketing and planning and identifying
Yeah.
uh, opportunities. So that's what we use it for.
Yeah. Totally.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's super helpful. We've actually helped. Sometimes they're a little more nuanced and complex, but we've helped a lot of construction guys with estimation and
Yeah,
bids and stuff too.
yeah,
So we're
bidding,
working on a lot of
estimation.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I agree with you though. It'll be. I mean, unless they can design a robot that can somehow do the trades, I don't really see
yeah,
how those will ever be replaced. But
yeah. I don't know about that. It'd be hard to get a
that's
robot to
maybe
do what my guys
50
do.
years from now.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Lane, man, I appreciate this. This has been so fun. Thanks for sharing your story. And yeah, I've loved getting to chat. I'll have to. Do you still go to some Rise Up King stuff? Maybe I'll get to see you down there sometime.
I have, you know, being a serial entrepreneur, I tend to, have to make decisions sometimes. And Rise Up Kings events, sometimes they're just not in the budget. Um,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
say this: our group, Pod 38, is one of the most connected groups that's ever gone through Rise Up Kings. It wasn't until this very last RuckCon, I think every single RuckCon since we went through, we were the most represented pod at. We've got a text thread that's over 2 years old that there's still
No
30
way.
guys, and we text every week. Like, it is a very, very
Wow,
close knit, connected pod. Our dudes are,
that's so
man,
cool,
yeah,
man.
it's such a good group of guys. So I do,
Was Andrew in that pod?
no, sir, no. I think
Okay,
Andrew heard about
okay.
me from maybe one of my pod brothers, Silas. Um,
Hmm.
so I think that's where maybe he heard about me. But and then I've done
Hmm.
one of the my biggest ruck experiences was at a ruck con. Skylar pulled me up on stage to tell some of my story that's not business related. It's like my childhood and upbringing and and it was such a God thing. And I was able to just pour out some stuff on stage in front of 200 men that, that was great for me. Right. But, impactful for a lot of guys. God just steps up sometimes, man. And whether you want it or not, whether you're ready, because I just made a little comment and Skylar's like, okay, we're going to go get on stage. And I was like, oh, no, it's fine. I don't want it. He's like, no. Yeah, come on up here, buddy.
Yeah.
So that's God, man.
That's intimidating to do on the spot with 200 men.
That's God, though.
Oh, my God.
But I'll tell you, it's such a unique group of men that God draws to Rise Up Kings, right?
Mm-hmm.
That I can stand up on stage and say some things that could be potentially, harmful to me as a person, socially or whatever, or embarrassing, whatever it may be. But to know that I'm in a group, I'm in front of 200 men. They're not going to do anything but embrace me afterwards and say, we're here for you, brother. What a good group of guys, man. Skylar, I'll tell you, he's built, God through Skylar has built a movement that I hope it, changes the world, man.
I know. I wonder if Andrew's ever had Skylar on. We need to do that.
Yeah,
sounds like he'd.
Yeah.
Cool guy.
Man, get in line.
Yes, I'm sure. Yeah. Well, Lane, like I said, man, I want to respect your time. I know it's getting a little bit late here. But thanks so much for sharing your story, man. This has been a blessing to me. Yeah. I think God's using your story even in my life through this conversation. So
hope so, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I hope so. And I just appreciate you guys having me on here and the opportunity to maybe, speak to somebody that hears this and that hopefully, God's word through me, right? So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know Andrew will probably be in touch with you. I'm sure you guys will, chat it up about AI some more. But really appreciate it, man. And hope you have a good rest of your week.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate your time today.